Hello, my name is Macy Hewish, and the title of my performance is Elizabeth Packard and the Rise of the Oppressed, Turning Points in Married Women's and Insane Asylum Patients' Rights. There once was a time, not so long ago, when married women owned almost nothing. Their property, money, children, even their ideas belonged to their husband. They could be called crazy and committed to an insane asylum with nothing but the request of their husband. And the patients in those asylums were subject to torture with no access to the outside world. These groups had no rights to lean on. However, all that changed when one woman stood up and used her voice, creating some of the greatest turning points in all of history for married women and insane asylum patients. That woman was me, Elizabeth Packard, and I'd like to share my story with you. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Packard. The year is 1860 and I live in Manteno, Illinois. I am married to Theophilus Packard, a Calvinist minister who is unmovable in his faith, and I have 6 wonderful children. However, unlike my husband, I've recently begun to develop independent religious opinions. In addition, a few years ago in 1848, I attended the very first women's rights convention in New York. This kindled a fire within me. The thought of women having more rights sounds incredible. Why shouldn't women have the same rights as men? When I discussed both this and my ideas on religion, Theophilus showed no support whatsoever. In fact, he was furious with me. However, I value my ideas highly and believe that, woman or not, I should be able to freely speak, especially around my own husband. My name is Theophilus Packard. I'm a Calvinist minister and am highly respected within my community. Unfortunately, my wife has been a large matter of concern to me recently. She's been getting all excited about women's rights, claiming women should have equal rights as men. How ridiculous is that? Even more troubling, Elizabeth has been publicly disagreeing with me during religious ceremonies. This is creating a horrible image for me. In order to keep my job as a minister, I have been telling everyone that Elizabeth is deranged. These unconstrained and unladylike behaviors have got to stop, which is why I have decided to take action and send Elizabeth to an insane asylum. Now in the 1800s, insane asylums are more common than ever before in history, and the laws of Illinois state that a husband may commit his wife to an asylum with nothing but the acceptance of the asylum's superintendent, making this both a brilliant and simple solution. I was given no warning. Instead, on June 18th, 1860, Theophilus broke into my locked room through the window with an axe and physically forced me outside my own property and away from my own children. When I requested for a trial by jury to prove whether or not I was insane, my request was denied. Why? Because I was a married woman, and in the United States, according to the law, wives were inferior to their husbands. I was labeled as insane all because I expressed my independent thoughts. The Jacksonville Insane Asylum in Jacksonville, Illinois is not a sanctuary, but a prison. I am not permitted to go outside for any reason, nor to see the mail my children and friends have been trying to send me. I've witnessed patients beat, constrained in straitjackets, chained to the walls, and suffer through water torture, all of which the asylum's superintendent, Andrew McFarland, has turned a blind eye to. Many of the women here are dangerous, and have put my life at risk every day, throwing knives at mealtimes and attacking others in the dead of night. On the other hand, I've met many kind and obviously sane women. Why are there so many sane women trapped in an insane asylum? This question troubled me greatly, so I began talking to as many patients as possible, gathering their stories. What I found was shocking. Most of the women here had also been committed by their husbands. If someone doesn't stand up and make a change, then all married women are in danger of what us wrongfully accused patients have already experienced. I'll have to fight this injustice myself. I will befriend the women in this asylum. I will secretly steal papers and pencil stubs so I can compile my experiences into a book. And I will share my rebellious spirit until justice has been served to me and all the downtrodden women in this asylum. This chaos, this rebellion, this potential downfall of my career has got to stop. While I hate to admit it, Elizabeth Packard has caused more uprising in my asylum than I can continue to handle. Rumors of a book, written by Elizabeth, when I haven't even allowed her writing materials, are spreading like wildfire. Worst of all, somehow information concerning how patients are treated in my asylum have been leaking out into the public through the press. I must find a way to bring Elizabeth's rebellion to a stop without pronouncing her sane when she undoubtedly is not. Therefore I, Andrew McFarland, Superintendent of the Jacksonville Insane Asylum, do hereby order today, on May the 5th of 1863, that Elizabeth Packard, having been in this institution nearly 3 years, shall be discharged on account of being incurably insane. Freedom. After 3 painful years trapped at the asylum, I was free. Or so I thought. But another prison awaited me. Theophilus, being so upset by my discharge, locked me in the nursery and boarded all of the windows shut. However, I thought through the situation I was in and I tried to make the best of it. Quickly, I found a silver lining. This potentially unlawful imprisonment could grant me a trial to grant me my freedom and prove my sanity. One day, I was able to slip a letter to one of my most trusted friends, Sarah Hazlitt. Not more than a few days later, Sarah filed a writ of habeas corpus for me to the Kankakee courthouse. My time has come. A writ of habeas corpus has been filed on behalf of my wife, claiming I've unlawfully imprisoned her inside my home. This is simply not true. I was just providing necessary precaution and restraint due to the fact that Elizabeth is insane, and I have several pieces of evidence to prove so. First, her strange ideas concerning religion, along with her sudden disagreements with the Calvinist Church. Secondly, many of our friends and neighbors agree Elizabeth is insane. Finally, Elizabeth Packard spent almost 3 full years at the Jacksonville Insane Asylum. On May the 5th, 1863, Superintendent Andrew McFarland pronounced Elizabeth incurably insane. The word of a well-educated professional on the subject of psychiatry and illness should be sufficient in proving Elizabeth's insanity. My husband, Theophilus Packard, was raised in the Congregational Church. Not so long before marriage, Theophilus left the Congregational Church and joined the Calvinist Church. He did the very thing I have recently done that you have used as evidence of my insanity. Is Theophilus insane? Does changing your outlook on life cause insanity? If we use the definition of insanity that got me, a perfectly sane woman, trapped in an insane asylum for nearly 3 years, then every one of us would be in an asylum right now. In total, the Packard vs. Packard court case lasted from January 12th to January 18th, 1864. On January 18th, it only took the jurors 7 minutes to decide their verdict. Elizabeth Packard, they announced, is sane and should be relieved of all restraint incompatible with her condition as a sane woman. I felt as if I could fly. However, the same day, Theophilus took my children, sold my property, and left for Massachusetts. Once again, my rights as a married woman were not evident. I had gained my freedom, but lost my children. I decided right there and then it was time America changed. I spent the next 5 decades of my life fighting for the rights of all married women and insane asylum patients. I started off by self-publishing several books I had written during and after my time at the asylum, including the book Marital Power Exemplified, in which I brought awareness to the limited rights of married women. I then began to speak in legislators all over the country, sharing my ideas and impacting thousands of lives. In 1867, Miss Packard's personal liberty law was signed in both Illinois and Massachusetts, granting everyone a jury trial to prove their insanity before being committed. I also highly influenced the passing of law in Illinois protecting the property of married women, along with a national law allowing all insane asylum patients full access to their mail. In total, I secured the passing of 34 bills across 24 states. What's more, in the mid-1800s, American citizens' minds and the press were filled with a large debate going on concerning the Civil War and slavery. I fully supported the demolition of slavery. However, the focus on the rights of African Americans during that time overshadowed the quiet suffering of married women. It was my efforts that brought America out of that ignorance and brought awareness to the rights of women in general through the power of the press. I have fought the hardest battle I could, and I succeeded. I gave America what it was looking for. I gave the suffering and oppressed what they had deep in their hearts always been looking for: freedom. Thank you.